feel like I'm losing y'all. It says The War in Yemen Explained in 3 Minutes. That's the name of it. When was this published? How old is this? This was posted 5 years ago. Yemen has been facing its worst humanitarian crisis in decades. Thousands of people have been killed and millions have been displaced after Saudi Arabia launched a military offensive in 2015. The poorest country in the Arab world has become a playground for regional and international powers. Saudi Arabia considers Houthi rebels who control vast swaths of the country an Iranian ally and a direct threat to the security. 3 years into the war, the country has been devastated and civilians are bearing the brunt of the war. About 17 million Yemenis will face famine if humanitarian aid does not reach them soon. So, and this was way back when, 2017, and we are in 2023, and this is still, the situation is pretty much the same. Like she said at the end of the video, it's in a gridlock. And when they were talking about cholera, again, I can't help but to think about Haiti. And then it's like they said that their government wasn't, dealing with the trash and sewage properly. And that's another reason why it's the cholera. And it's a similar situation in Haiti right now. And it's like I can't help but to think about how that's oppressive on the people, like the people. Making the people suffer like on purpose, you know what I'm saying? Like that's what it sounds like to me. Like I say, the people suffer. They don't want they don't want the people to be all right. Like they want them to suffer. So y'all want to fight back? Y'all want your rights and stuff? Take this cholera. See how you deal with that. Let me read some comments. It says, "This is one of the best YouTube videos I've ever watched. It's concise, straight to the point, and well organized. I appreciate the work that has been put into this video. I pray to Allah that Yemen and her people will be saved from this crisis." Another comment, it says, "As a Yemeni individual, this video is 100% true." Another comment, this is 3 weeks ago. "I always wonder why and how countries like these around the world get like this." Yeah. You're touching on something there. How does it happen? Let me read some more. It says, "This is some of the saddest news I've ever seen. Praying for the people of Yemen. God bless you all." Another comment, it says, "I am Saudi, but pray for Yemen. We have the same blood. The war started between the governments in Yemen. Inshallah, the war will stop." Another comment says, "Love this channel. Thank you for teaching us who are not aware." Another comment, "It's nice to see the perspective of Middle Eastern journalism on Yemeni crisis. All I had read so far was from far removed international newspapers. Keep it up, Al Jazeera. You're doing great work. Let's hope that some sort of deal can be reached to alleviate the suffering of the civilians." Well, that hasn't happened, buddy. All the suffering, you can add like 10... how many more years on top of that? Another comment, "And it's always a few people who can't control their greed and ruin an entire country. It happens all over. It's really sad." Greed.
And worse is, this isn't just we're looking 5-7 years now. So this is literally, because of this, is an entire generation or two of a problem.
Exactly.
Undernourished people, malnourished children, they can't grow, they can't develop, they're not as smart, they're not as strong. It weakens the entire peoples for an entire generation until something happens and things begin to pick up again.
And they turn into terrorists too, because they're young, they're growing through this and they really understand, they learn about
and they're pissed.
And they're gonna, and when they talk about like an Al Qaeda breeding ground or whatever, like this is what they mean.
It's real easy to go,
or
hey,
ISIS.
You are pissed. You know what? Let me explain some things to you. You've been hungry all your life. You're pissed. Something's going on. Tell you what, share some bread with me. Let me tell you who's why you should be pissed. Let me tell you who you should be pissed at. Hey, come fight for my flag. We have less blood on it than most.
Yeah, and it's easy recruiting because they're gonna be like, at the
Hey,
end of
can
the
I take
day,
food to my family? Yeah, here, take some food to your family. Just come on back tomorrow and let's talk again. And then the truck's there and they just toss them on. Let's go.
yeah, well, they're gonna easily agree because it's like
Well,
if I could
we're
just
thinking further over in Africa, not as much where we're talking about, but still, same thing.
same thing, and I'm
It,
sure it's happening
excuse
here
me, similar results, similar situations.
and so that's the thing when they talk about this bloated military budget that we have and all of the wars around the world. And then they're talking about it's making us safer. Like we're fighting for your freedom. We're fighting to keep you safe. But when you are creating environments that breed people who hate us, is that making us safer?
I had someone earlier talking to me about, oh, well, yeah, well, we're sending them the money for the aid. How is that Biden's buddies making money? They're spending that on taking care of their stuff. I'm like, yeah, they're buying guns.
Yeah.
They're buying missiles from
Raytheon,
American manufacturers.
uh,
They're hiring
Boeing, or
Brown and Root and places like that to come do food facilities and stuff like that, and their back lines, organized kitchens, things like that. They're they're hiring BlackRock freaking mercs and stuff like that to protect non-military assets.
so most of the money is going to go to American companies or private contractors or whatever, but they'll all be American companies. Well, most of them will be, and our
American
buddies.
and Chinese.
And so that's where all the money's going to go. That's what that person don't understand, that they're naive when they think that these people. But I think that most people think that way because they're on this face. That's what it sounds like. Oh, we're sending aid to Ukraine. So in people's brain, they're thinking like, I don't know, some food and I don't know, shelter, blankets.
Dude, I'm like, come on, man. Let's save the 20% that Ukraine is laundering and just give the companies the money and take the 20% and give it to the Americans. There, same result. The companies get ignorantly fucking rich, but we end up actually getting something out of it. And hell, then they don't even have to make the guns. Shit, we can actually double profits for them. Hell yeah.
Yeah. But see, it's more to it than that because the guns, a lot of them end up in the black market. And then right now we're talking about Yemen. Where do you think some of these?
Well,
You
I
think
mean,
that any of the
we
guns?
got to buy them back up and back up in the black market. That way, we can ship them down to Africa to keep those wars going on down there right now.
That's what my point is. And we're talking about Yemen, and I wouldn't be surprised if some of those Ukraine weapons end up there. Because I'm sure they're going all around the world.
I mean, right now, the Taliban is basically had been funded by the American taxpayer for at least the next 3 to 10 years
They
with
got
all the stuff that we left.
new state of the art equipment and shit.
And
Like,
I'm trying to figure out why the fuck we didn't scuttle those trucks, helicopter, all that. Why didn't we scuttle it? If we're going to leave it, burn it. Make them salvage the shit. Thermite fucking bomb, all that shit.
I saw a story about them reverse engineering some of that stuff, like, learning the technology of some of that stuff so they can make it themselves.
Like I say, make them friggin' work for it. Don't just leave it there to fucking be pulled apart. Like, I mean, shit, they can go. Well, then again, all they got to do is go on YouTube and it shows them probably how to take it apart and put it back together anyway.
Yeah, well, I got to give props to Trump related to this topic because that's the reason. And so then they had to leave in a rush. They didn't want to leave. They didn't have no intention on leaving. So that Trump made that whatever it was executive order or whatever it was. Y'all got to get out of there, and that's it. Y'all got this amount of time, and shit. They fucking obviously they didn't have enough time to get their shit together, and they end up leaving a bunch of shit.
Well, remember, that was also during the time they thought that they could invalidate anything Trump ever did or said.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. They didn't have no intention of leaving. So they probably thought all the way up until the last second that this wasn't
Say,
gonna.
and then a fanatic religious terrorist organization just barely out of the Stone Age pantses the leader of the free world in front of the entire world.
Well,
That
we
was
was in.
awesome.
That's a quagmire, and that shows it's like
And
David
it's just
beating Goliath.
that was the domino right there. That was the first one. They flicked that shit. Look where we're getting now. Look how then China started acting shitty. They started building friggin' airplane hangars and stuff like that in the middle of the ocean over there in the South China Sea. They're making moves on Taiwan. You've got Russia continuing its thing that it's been doing since 2000s. I mean, all that shit. Everyone was like, the one thing about them, everyone was like, "Oh, Trump way deals with all the dictators." It's like, no, he went over there and scared the shit out of them.
Yeah,
It's
man.
like, oh my god, this guy is actually fucking crazier than we are. Maybe we're gonna back off and see what happens.
I think there was definitely a factor of that because it's like this dude is crazy. He might actually push the damn button. Let's chop it up with this guy.
He is a gangster. He don't give a fuck.
So, again, I think that's good. I have to give him props because that's the reason why. And they wanted that to go forever. They just these are their money banks. Like, there's so much money. Like, the biggest money is this military industrial complex. I really don't think anything is bigger than that. There's nothing bigger than that. That's the huge money. Boeing, Raytheon, freaking. And the United States was founded on that. Like I say, I want to say our first industry was gun making, way back in the day when when the United States became the United States.
No, our first industry was tobacco farming.
Well, there's something historical with that because it's related to the war, the Revolutionary War, and it was like we can't trust nobody else to build these weapons. So. And they started building their own weapons, and that's a big part of that story, and that's the beginning of the United States. And we've been selling and manufacturing weapons ever since.
Why do I want to say Remington?
Yeah, that's it. The Remington, the rifle.
Because the Colt came much later.
Yeah, that was much later. They had the rifles. And they were making them, and they had an assembly line.
Actually, we're closer to the Colt being invented than the Colt was to whatever you're talking about.
The Remington, because I'm talking about, what is this, 1760s or 17... yeah, like the 1760s, I think we're talking about here. Because how long did the Revolutionary War go on? And the independence was 1777, right? There I go with the damn dates. Damn dates. I always hated the dates when it came to history because they make you remember those damn dates. And a lot of times I feel like that's like the least important factor almost. Like when it happened, okay, yeah. I guess it's important when you think about it in sequence, like what came before and what came after. That's important, but They make you memorize those dates, and it's always a question on the damn test.
Dime qué tú quieres, papi. ¿Quieres que lo mueva para ti? Mueve, mueve. ¿Te gusta cuando me muevo así? Así.